Hi, welcome to In Studio with Sports Therapy, our Pro Series. Today, for our first episode, we have Joshua Kelly, Barbados cyclist. Thanks for coming, Josh Kelly. So, as I told him, you're a Barbados cyclist, but introduce yourself. Who is Joshua Kelly?
Actually, before cycling, I played football for a few years for Barbados on the national team. And I remember it was the summer of 2011. I was at home, just super bored. And at the time I had a friend that was a competitive cyclist. And he started to invite me on, a few fun rides with him and that kind of stuff. And then actually at the end of that summer, I dropped off of the national football team to pursue my dream to become a cyclist.
Whoa, what position you used to play?
I used to play midfield actually, left side.
The engine.
Something like that.
Yeah, so at which point you realized you were good enough at cycling to take it to the next level? So after that summer, you would have submerged yourself into cycling. But then as you started to compete, at which point did you realize, you know what, I can take this to the professional level?
Well, actually, it was the aspect of, starting from zero and not being any good at it initially. Like every single ride I would go on, I would get dropped and I would just get left behind so quickly. And I think that's what drew me in. It was just the challenge. And then, I worked really hard at it. And honestly, I didn't really think much of it initially, but it was the following year that I was asked to represent Barbados for the first time. And I went to the championships with no expectations. It was my first international outing on a bike. So it was just very easygoing and fun. And I managed to get my first medal for Barbados. So that's when I was like, whoa, maybe I could do something special with this, and I started to really focus and be more disciplined in my training, and it just went from there.
Okay, since you mentioned it, tell us a little more of that first competition. Where it was, you remember? Was it like a Pan Am Games or what was it?
It was actually a Caribbean Championships, and it was in Aruba. So I was super excited about that because I've never been to Aruba, and I don't think I would have gone to Aruba for any other reason. So I was just, as a typical young teenager, traveling with the national team, kind of taking it, lightly as a mini vacation in a sense. But yeah, I just went out there with no expectations, and I rode my heart out. And actually, I didn't even know that I was in contention for a medal. And my manager came over a while after, and he was like, "Josh, you're sitting on the podium now." And I was like, "What?" So it was a big surprise for sure.
I bet. I mean, so much happens in a year. So from 2011, we're now in 2022. You're a professional cyclist based out of the US. How did that happen? Were you scouted? How did that come about?
That's a good one. Actually, it felt like it was taking a very long time, to be honest. I mean, since 2011, I was able to produce medals for Barbados on a yearly basis. So I was very consistent with my performances, and I continued to build and progress as an athlete. And they had a lot of ups and downs. They had sometimes I felt like throwing in the towel and that kind of stuff. And it wasn't until after 10 years that I finally signed my professional contract, to be honest, my first professional contract. Obviously before that, at various points I had some amateur contracts and whatnot, but to finally sign a pro contract and be able to make a living out of it, that's a whole nother level.
I bet it's exciting too, doing what you love. So take us through a day in the life as a professional. A normal day with your pro team, what was it like?
It's a normal day with us is a good mixture. We have some very hectic you know, travel days and training days that you just feel like it's never going to end. But then we also have some really fun days with, you know, community activities, hanging out with kids, and just doing normal things among our teammates, like shopping or going to eat some food. So it's definitely a good mixture. Obviously, there's that added pressure to really perform in the events, but you know, after some time of adjusting, you kind of find a balance and know how to deal with that. Yeah.
So, tell us about some key coaches that would have influenced your career thus far.
Okay. For starters, my first coach ever in cycling was actually Barry Ford.
Okay.
So he, you know, instilled a lot of good habits, you know, gave me the practices and the infrastructure that I needed to, you know, get my career off of the ground in a sense. And then after that, I went under the wing of my Cuban coach, Mijail, and he helped me to progress for many years until his contract ended here with the Sports Council. And then after that, I've had my coach Simon. He's from the UK. He also is an owner and a manager of a professional team over there. So he's, you know, kind of took my training to the next level where there's a lot more science behind why we do things. So, you know, he's definitely played a key role in where I am today.
Wonderful. And what about your support system? Being professional, being on the professional circuit, especially being based overseas, you're touring all the time, you're not with family, you're not with friends. How has that support system played a role in you performing the way you do into your performances?
Yes, a strong support system is key. I mean, without it, I don't think any athlete from the Caribbean is going to survive, to be honest, because it's a huge adjustment, you know, moving to places like Europe and the US where you don't have family to come home to every day. You know, sometimes you don't have people to speak the same language as you and that kind of stuff. So, you know, having my friends and my family there every step of the way, encouraging me, you know, and even in weak points telling me, you know, not to give up on my dreams and whatnot, is played a huge role in my career.
Wonderful. And finally, what advice would you have to younger athletes coming up who are probably aspiring to the same pro circuit? You said it took you 10 years before you signed that contract, and at points you felt like it's running into trouble. What advice would you give them?
I would like to, you know, tell all athletes from the Caribbean to never give up, never be persuaded away from your dream. Obviously, it's that much harder for athletes from the Caribbean to make it in the professional world because, you know, we don't have the grassroots and the infrastructure from young like, you know, many other athletes have. So we have to work that much harder to even be noticed for any little thing. So I mean, I would definitely say never to give up, you know, just work hard, and 9 out of 10 times it always works out.
It always works out. Thanks, Josh, for coming. We appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here and to offer, not only to give us some insight into your journey, but also to offer some advice to the youth. And we wish you all the best in your 2023 season. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me. Hi, I'm Joshua Kelly, a Barbadian cyclist, and I was in studio with Sports Therapy 101.